Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another Supercoach Insider podcast. My name is Swiz, here to talk all things round 11 with my team. 1 week out from the buys, things are really starting to heat up in the Supercoach world, so we will go through some of my decisions and what happened last week. But before we do that, as always, continue to check us out on all our social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Twitter, Supercoach Insider 100 or Swiz26 to contact me. Well, so 25.72 for me last week, which I was pretty happy with. Two obviously disappointing moments. Happened to be, I didn't have the VC on Goulden in the air, I had it on Clary, and that was just because I was reversing my team to show somebody something on Friday, so completely forgot that I hadn't swapped it back to Goulden, which kind of worked out all right because Oliver's 120, but because I didn't have Goulden score, it meant I played safe and didn't end up going with Merritt. So I was debating between Merritt and Marshall, and probably the thing that actually swayed me off was actually Shield pulling out. It was just one of those things where I thought, well, there's only Merritt left. He's probably going to get some attention now, even though Richmond typically don't tag. But I thought with Taranto there, Merritt could get some, at least a run with roll. But yeah, that didn't happen and cost myself out 42 points there. The other big one was I was debating between Simpson and Humphrey and thinking, well, I'm not going to necessarily chase the points. I still think Humphrey was going to be a good pick to bring in. But it's always the case, you put that guy on who scores the week before and they come out and score like a 50 and the other guy comes out and scores 70, 80. And unfortunately, this was not one of those moments. So 81 points down the drain there, total of 123 points down the drain. So yeah, instead of being ranked in the top 500 right now, I'm ranked 1061. So I think that pretty well this week, and then that round one with Wits not going the captaincy there, which I was always on with the 90 points and going lead. So I feel like we'll keep a running total there and say that's 211 points, and as long as I don't lose by that much and miss out on the 50k there, we're all good. But yeah, you get the other ones where you play rookie roulette like last week where I said, there's probably 70, 80 points there. But I was always going to go, say, Chandler last week. And who was the other one? We had Chin Cotter on field. So yeah, those ones I can live with. But this one, yeah, it hurts a lot more. But we bounced back and still happy with the trade-ins. Like Humphrey, made a lot of money. Great break even now, which now people are thinking, or do I sort of try to get him in now? Because his projection, I think, is 65, which, I think that's about right. But at the same time, with that break even of minus 54, if he was to go ton again, we could be with a projection of 64, it's projected to go up 53,000. Where, if he was to somehow do the 3 tons in a row, we're now talking, say, 70k, and his break even would still be nice and juicy. So yeah, a nice little price grab there, the 72k movement last week. So well done for people who jumped on him. I'm not as keen for those who missed out jumping on him. Now there's probably other options that are starting to come forward, and you probably now only getting that 1 to 2 weeks. Yes, you're going to get a player that's playing through the bye, so that is something. But maybe sometimes you've just got to put your hand up and go, yep, I missed that guy. A bit like Nevitt at the moment with some of the Geelong injuries and, Samson Ryan early in the year and Dylan Williams. So you've just got to go, yep, I missed that one. Who's the next one I can sort of jump on? And that's the world of Supercoach. Really happy with bringing him Merritt at the 162. Fantastic. So yeah, disappointing I didn't go captain him, but still great that I brought him in and he did so well. So the 2 big ones I'm looking at in my team. So for most of it, I'm pretty happy with. Really happy now with Canelio and Green with Kelly going out. That's a shame for those people who have Josh Kelly probably going to miss 4 weeks. But the big one is Clayton Oliver and what to do with him. So I can understand people wanting to hold because they're thinking it's just this week. I'll get a rookie to cover it. Round 12, 13 and 14. Well, 12 and 13 will have bye cover. So it's only best 18. And then round 14, he misses anyway because of his bye. And then hopefully is back round 15. So I can understand that thought process. And people then don't use the trade and you still have Clary there. The flip side is it's still this week where you're playing a rookie, and look what happened last week with those who played Simpson or Chesser or somebody like that. You got the 20, 25 points. Now you hope they go better, but what if those rookies go poor, and is it better to say bring in a premium for him? That premium hopefully goes over 100. Now there's no guarantees, but hopefully goes really well, and potentially it's another VC or captain option. And then you not only have him, but then even through those best 18, instead of taking a rookie score, which could be anything between 20 and 100, you're hoping that premium fires. Now, the two food for thoughts there with Clary and who you bring in is a lot of people are looking at, say, your Neil or maybe your Brayshaw or someone like that. So then they miss round 12 anyway, but then they will be there round 14. So it's a much of a muchness with that. Whoever you bring in is going to miss a bye as it is. The other thought there about getting rid of Oliver would be what happens with that cash. What can you do with that cash? So in my case, it's 172k. If I add that onto Simpson, it's only a 420 player. But potentially with that 100k, if I was to go Oliver, say, down to maybe let's use the example of Lockie Neal. So Lockie Neal's at 561. Break even of 85. Was hoping he wouldn't go as well as he did last week. I really wanted to bring him in after the bye, so potentially could go, say, him. And that gives me 100k, so that's 272 on top of Simpson. And that becomes a 520 player if I want to go down that track. So definitely something to think about there. And I know a few people who have extra cash are going, okay, I can actually turn Oliver into two other really good premiums. That might even be like a Laird and a Neil. So that play I can understand people wanting to go for. Even I'm considering going the play of, say, Oliver down to maybe it's a Neil or a Sicily or something like that, and turning the other player into either a Balladell or an Ollie Wines. And then that cash, and keep that cash for another week, and then use that cash to help me through upgrade season. We've got these rookies, especially at the moment, like Wilmot is now, and he's got another week in him, another 20k to be made. There's a couple of these other rookies we should be able to get through another couple games. So I want to make sure I have some cash so I'm ready to go, not want to be scrambling to upgrade these players. And so that extra maybe 80 or 100k could come in handy. In regards to potential rookies this week, the two that stand out are George Wardlaw and Eddie Ford, both from North Melbourne. Eddie Ford I'd definitely be waiting on for another week. That role where he plays in the attacking half of North Melbourne, as that's going to be up and down scores. We always see it, and because he's had that 102 first week, that drops out very quickly. So I'd wait a week. Let's see how he goes against the Pies, and potentially look at him as an option next week. Wardlaw, if you needed a rookie, now I know he's 193k, but this kid is an absolute jet. All year the debate was him or Ashcroft pick one. Now we know Cadman went one because the Giants for needs needed that full forward. Lost Jeremy Cameron, makes sense. But if it was an open draft and there was, let's say there's a team that was actually looking for a midfielder last year, it would have been an interesting debate if Wardlaw was fit. If a club would have got Ashcroft or Wardlaw. So this is how well this kid is rated. Straight away into the guts last week for the Roos. He played centre bounce, and this kid's an absolute jet. So I was just scrolling through to see how many CBAs he actually ended up having, but I know it was quite a few, and for a first game, and you only expect him to get better as he's getting over that injury. So definitely somebody you can definitely think about this week. Wardlaw, 18 CBAs, and I think Simpkin was the most for North Melbourne with 26. So it just shows how much faith they already have with him coming into the side. However, with just the way it's set up, and because obviously we're going to have teams in the bye and other teams not have the bye, I'm actually thinking this is a good week to try to get your upgrades done, and next week it might be just a double downgrade. So a Wardlaw and maybe a Ford or a Mac Andrew if he plays from Sydney. You've got, there's another one in there, which is not coming to mind. You've got Cade Baldwin this week, but there's reasons why I won't be looking at him, and I'll talk about that in a second. But there is definitely somebody else that comes to mind that's on the radar for next week. But I might be Actually, I can't actually remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look this up, but I know we were talking about it, potential players for next week. But the standouts are definitely Wardlaw and Ford. So definitely, if you're looking at trying to, it's hard to bring in an upgrade next week unless there's a massive injury, of course. And even then, it's a case of going, well, why am I going to be bringing in, say, a round 14 player now, like next week when they've got a bye in a week's time? You want to try to get them after their bye. You want to bring the round 12 guys after their bye. So the rookies are a bit of a different situation. Because if they're on the bubble, they're on the bubble. You've got to bring them in at the right time. So, yeah, definitely somebody. That's actually how I'm thinking. I'm trying to forward plan my team and go, okay, these guys have played only the one game. I get another week to look at them. But if you're kind of desperate, I can understand that. In regards to, Kieran Briggs was the one, yes. But he's 254k. So it's a bit of a different situation, but he did get the 109. If GWS do look like keeping with him in the ruck, let's just say he comes out this week against the Cats and goes another 100, then there is a bit of food for thought of what do you do with him. He's just a pure ruck. So people who might have a Max Gawn who's sitting at 35% dual position at the moment, he picks it up. They're probably easier for you to maybe bring a Briggs in. Potentially for us who don't have that dual position player, maybe it's like Madden goes forward, you bring Briggs in and he could become a cash cow, a non-playing cash cow really on the bench where he's probably only getting 1 week on your team. So that might be a little bit of a thought, but I wouldn't be rushing to bring him in yet like the other guys. And the one that's on the bubble this week that I know I just mentioned was Cade Baldwin. Now, I don't like bringing him in because Kelly and Laverty are due back. Now, they might not come back this week, but I'm pretty confident they'll come back the week after, and he is playing defence. Even though he's listed as a forward, he is playing down in defence. So that's a hard one to jump on, especially at his price at 172k. Now, he could potentially still keep his spot this week, score a 60-70, make you some cash for sure. But then we want these players playing through the buys. We're going to need these guys through round 14 and 15. So it's really hard to bring somebody in there whose job security is going to be really poor. So that's kind of what a bit of forward planning and forward thinking. There's plenty of premiums that we can all be looking at this week, and I know a lot of people are thinking about who would I trade Clary to, or Kelly, even Setterfield. If you've got any of these guys, there's plenty of players that I know people are looking at. So naturally, they're best ones. You've got the high price guys. So let's start off with them. Libar, averaging 119 this year, playing guts. This all comes also down to your buy structure as well, and depends what you want to do there. But he's, that round 15 buy. There's not much to say about this guy. He's absolutely flying. He's got the 3 scores this year of 140 or above. Playing midfield, no Treloar in there anymore. There's nothing not to like about Libar. So, and he's got a good break even this week as well against the Suns with 93, which he should get pretty comfortably. So it's him. Zach Butters, I know a lot of people are wanting to jump on. The kid is probably the number one Port Adelaide midfielder. I think it's a little bit of bias beware. Now, he has been brilliant over the last 3 weeks, 125, 139 and 184. And he did have a 146 in round 5. So, fantastic scores for a forward. Again, it's that little problem where it is that round 15 buy. So like Libar before that. So, you've got to have a little bit of a thought if that's the way you kind of want to go. And the thing that worries me a bit about Butters is they've still got Wines, they've got Rosie, Horn Francis, Boak, William Drew, who's the tagger, plenty of options. And that's where we saw weeks where he's got 96, 94, 89, 79. So yes, I still think he's the number one guy, but they do have the ability to rotate through guys up their forward line. So I do get a little worried that Butters may regress into some of those scores. Like, they do have a favourable draw coming up the next couple of weeks leading into their bye. However, do I see him still throwing out 130s and 140s? Probably not. Is it a case that could be a little bit of a Noah Anderson situation where everybody jumped on that 180, 190? And I think people are thinking the same thing and going, oh my God, this guy's going up 70k in the next 2 weeks. And going to be scoring 120 and 140. But then what happens if he only comes out and scores those 90s again? Then you're kind of in that stuck situation. So I still think he's a very good pick because he's going to, he's going to average him 112 at the moment. It's got the ability to go at least 105, 110 for the rest of the year. So he's not a bad pick in any sense of the thought, but at the same time, are you paying for what you're getting? And I think that is probably a situation there. Laird's another one that people don't have. Obviously, that's not for me, but at 597, seems to be over these niggling injuries, break even of 99. Great draw coming up with Brisbane, Gold Coast, and West Coast, and then they have North Melbourne after their bye. So there's a lot to like there for Laird. So I think he's probably the obvious one. Walsh, who I've been talking up so much, and I feel really bad about this, comes out and plays pure midfield on the weekend, even though he still didn't have a full percentage of CBAs. He was either, if he was in the centre, he was starting on the wing and then pushing in from there, where before he'd been pushing from half forward, and that was all because they played Hewitt as the sub. So his percentage went from 40 to 34%, and now he's in danger of missing forward status, which is unreal, and especially unreal because he only scored 92 on the weekend. So we've got a situation where he's going to potentially drop cash with a break-even of 132, and could miss forward status. So really need Hewitt and Kennedy playing in there, so he gets that extra percentage to play in and get that upgrade for us. And the hard thing is, because of Walsh and it gives him the potential, if he gets plenty of forward minutes or starting at least from that half forward line and pushing up like he does, because he's only played the 6 games this year, his percentages alter a lot more than what another player would, and that other player in particular is Jackson Macrae. So Macrae's at 40%. So even if Macrae went out and played 100% midfield this week, I don't think he misses because he's played all 10 games. So his percentage alters are very different compared to Walsh, who's played 6 games. So the hope is still Walsh goes back to that role and they play their full complement and he picks up the forward status. But we just don't know with the coaches, especially the way the boys are playing. And all of a sudden, Macrae, even though he'd been going 96, 88, 81, and he always scores really well at Mars and that 145, he now could become a better option than what Walsh might be. The good thing about also Macrae, apart from that annoying round 15 bye, is the Bulldogs run home. So, the Giants, Richmond, Hawthorn, West Coast in those Supercoach byes before they finish with Geelong. So they've got some very favourable games there. So these are all guys that, I'm potentially looking at. The other one I really like, again, unfortunately it's a Bulldogs player, but it'd be finishing off the back line by putting Will Day into the midfield for now. That's Bailey Dale from the Bulldogs. And the reason why he's jumped up into more relevancy is because JJ has gone down injured. So JJ's out for 8 to 10 weeks. He'd been moved back to that halfback role that he played so well in that premiership year, and especially in the grand final. So he was subbed out with a 54 around half time. But he scores, lately been going 112, 84, 102, 73, 98. So really, playing awesome in that role that he does so well. Richards, I'm not worried as much about taking points because he kind of complements what Bailey Dale does and can push up at that wing or be on the other side. But Bailey Dale, who's, I think he was on about 50, just under at halftime, and then comes out and gets a 141, break even this week of 28. 447 for a defender who, last year, and he came home on a house on fire, but he still averaged 101. Apart from those last 3 games where he went 68, 88, and 83, but he had a run in there where actually even the start of the year where he was scoring hundreds. But I think it was around this bye period where he's gone the 111, 113, 110, 134, 118. He was turning out some really nice scores. Now he can have down days, so it's not probably as confident as a Sicily or a Stewart, but even then they can put in sort of lower scores, but just for his value. And it feels a little bit like those who had, and there's only a select few that jumped on Darcy Moore a few weeks ago. So his percentage is 3% owned in the whole league, break even of 49, still 541, so it's a good price, but he'd, since round 6 has gone 101, 111, 112, 110, 151. So a bit of a game change there. Pies, he's taking so many intercept marks, and it's like he's in the Matrix right now from a footy perspective, just marking everything. So that's the hope of going maybe we've missed the Darcy Moore. I can't understand people wanting to jump on him. And then who's the next value guy? And so Bailey Dell is definitely in the thought for me just because of that price. And he's competing with Port Adelaide's Ollie Wines for me at the moment. I've been talking about him for the last few weeks, about them been trying to build his fitness and building his CBA times. And now, 70, 89, 93, 110. So as he builds each week, went up to 23K last week, but that was always expected. I wanted to kind of see where he's in that position, where he is back playing as pretty well much the number one midfielder. So break even of 51. So he is very tempting for me. So I don't know. I'll probably only go one of them in a Wines and a Bailey Dell and match them with maybe a Lachie Neale or somebody like that. Jack Steele, who's played off, who could have missed last week because of the injury and was touch and go even up to the game. Played really well for 135. So he's in that boat of that round 12 bye, which probably suits my team better. But I'm more leaning towards Lachie Neale at the moment. So it would be, say, Simpson up to Neale, and then depends on what I want to do, if Oliver goes down to Wines or if it's what day down and Bailey Dell comes into that back line. And then the only one I'm really missing is maybe a Sicily or a Stewart. Now, Sicily is another one that has been on my contention and thinking about it this week because he's gone back-to-back 134s. So we know what Sis can do, and he's a great price too at a break-even of 49. So there's a few players on my mind that I'm definitely considering, and it's sort of like, okay, what do I want my finishing team to look like, and what will it by structure? And this will all come down to AFL teams on Thursday night. So I'm out Thursday night, so Friday morning I'll have a good look through that and then make the decision around there. So there's nothing confirmed for me in regards to that, but as we kind of sit here now, they're the players that are all on my mind. So it's Sicily, Neale, is that more 550. If I could bring in probably two at that price, it'd be great, but I think I will save a little bit of cash. So Oliver and Simpson are definitely the two that are looking like out of my side, unless something massively changes with Oliver's news in the next 48 hours. And then in comes, it'd be either a move Day into the midfield and I'll bring in a Sicily or a Bailey Dell, or the midfield, it will be a Wines or a Lachie Neale. So that's where I'm more leaning towards at the moment. And then that kind of sort of rounds off my team. I've only got in that forward line, Mitchell and Humphrey is a loophole option. Now, it's hard to loophole this week because of the vice-captain options. It's only really good if you have a Josh Sin because Port Adelaide are playing a bit later. But I can live with those two. Wilmot can have one more week on field, and then I'm kind of looking at what do I do with him through the buys. Big chance that he goes down to Wardlaw next week. And with Wilmot missing his bye there, that kind of works for me. And then pretty well there from next week, I'll be looking at, say, Bont, Oliver becomes someone else, Laird, Green, Merritt, Ashcroft can stay for now, Wilmot becomes Wardlaw, and then Simpson's up to a premium. And then in that back line, it's really just Sheasel, and I've got Weddle there as a backup anyway through that buy situation with that very timely 114 and big cash jump for us. So overall, I'm pretty happy how my team's sitting. I've just got to be mindful of, I don't want to, in a perfect world, I'd love to bring McRae and Bailey Dell and pair those two together. I'm just, again, mindful that's round 15 guys. And as I spoke about last week, if I go to my round 15 buy, and especially those people who have Supercoach Gold, you can see there the players I'm missing. So there's potential that I could an upgrade a Sheasel to a Stewart, and that would get rid of one of them. But I'm still going to have to deal with Rosie Canio, Taranto, English in the ruck. So we're already missing 4 guys there before we get to the midfielders. If I was to turn Oliver and Bailey Dell, or I'll turn Oliver into McRae and then say Simpson into Bailey Dell, there all of a sudden there's 2 more Bulldogs, and I'm really putting myself in a lot of stress for round 15 there. So that will come into the thought, and that's where, say, your Neils and Jack Steeles, definitely, even the round 14 player, I've got a few defenders missing, and that's where I've got to be a little bit mindful of. It's Sicily, but there is potential there. I can move players around. Dawson and All Day can move into my midfield. Oliver will be gone out of there, but I've still got Laird and Merritt, so may be able to cover that with 1 or 2 of these forwards. But at the same time, round 14 do have quite a few players out too. So the round 12s is players I'm looking at, and I know their buys coming up, but realistically, Wilmot's out, so it's only Sinclair, Ashcroft, Marshall, Dunkley and Goulden I'm missing, so I can probably potentially wear one or two more players from that buy. So that's just the food of thought. That's what's going through my mind. And then finally with the vice-captain, captain options this week. So again, as I said, it's really difficult because of the loophole option, and my best one is Madden, which is playing at 435. So I could potentially look at a Saints player or a Melbourne Freo if I could change it quick enough. But I'm actually really liking Goulden again. He didn't have a great week last week. We know what he did to Carlton in the preseason, to the Blues. Not let him do it again, potentially. But without Mills there, we saw what Parker did. Also Warner. So there's potential that those two go really well again. However, is it Goulden's chance to step up? So I don't mind kind of taking the risk on him. Now, the obvious captain option is Merritt against West Coast, but I do feel like he's going to get some attention from either O'Neill or Ruben Jinby. So I actually really like out of the Adelaide-Brisbane game, as much as I hate having my captain on a Sunday. But the Dunkley, who's going to get no attention against the Crows, or Rory Laird, both are good options there. I even like Lachie Neale if I was to bring him in, which is under consideration. The other one comes down to, and I may VC if it's not Goulden, is Marshall against the Hawks or even Sinclair. So they have two options that I may consider, just depending on how the Sydney makeup is and who Carlton play as well. Like if Hewitt comes back in or Kennedy comes back in, there's a chance that they could give some attention this time around to Goulden. So I don't mind that. We know what Sinclair can do. Marshall's been pretty consistent as that sole ruckman against the Hawks. Shouldn't have any trouble. So I've got a couple options there, and I think a few people are thinking the same. You've always got your Bonts against the Gold Coast and that, and I think that's where a lot of people are going to go. But, I'm kind of thinking a bit more left field with that. Even the Port Adelaide players against the Tigers, but maybe not as much this week because now the change of coach, and as I always say, change of coach, and we saw what happened last week. North Melbourne pretty well cost themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if that admin error came from maybe somebody who didn't want them to win at the club, but from a player's point of view, it's amazing. They get up from a change of coach and nearly win. So potentially that's what's going to happen this week. So that's how I'm looking. That's how I'm feeling. As I said, there's a lot to change, and I'll try to get up maybe Friday and give my final thoughts. But that's where we're at the moment, and hopefully another good score and can break into that top 1,000. Hopefully everybody else is going well. I'm going to be around for a live chat soon, so check that out as well. And we will talk soon. Bye.